Hi guys, my name is Pablo.
I'm Tamara.
And I'm Kash, if you don't know already. Our task is to analyse a creative campaign of our choice. So our presentation will include the following.
About the product, a little look at competitors and who's behind the campaign.
Reason for the campaign, about the consumer, and an analysis of the competitors' media.
The media schedule, advertising models and the campaign, the quality of design, and finally our suggestions and recommendations.
Founded in 1759, Guinness is the driest stout originating from Dublin, Ireland. They're currently owned by Diageo, a global leader in beverages and sales, who operate in over 180 countries globally. Guinness Extra Foreign Stout, consumed in Africa, is rather different to the Guinness we consume here in the UK. Instead of barley, it's typically brewed using maize or sorghum, which provides a more bitter taste compared to barley. African farmers have a long tradition of brewing with this grain, so the product is suited to the African palate. Guinness Foreign Extra has various competitors in the African beer market, some of which are owned by Diageo, as well as other large companies such as Heineken International, Carlsberg Malawi and Saab Miller. These include Castle Milk Stout, Tusker Lager, Woodek Lager, Star Lager, Castle Lager and Nile Special. Data from Diageo's first quarter sales in 2013 stated that Guinness accounted for 45% of their sales within the continent, with sales rising 13% per year since 2007. The campaign we chose consists of rebranding and relaunching the Guinness Stout, making it the largest campaign ever by both Diageo and Guinness in Africa.
So the rationale behind the campaign Made of Black. According to WARP 2014, Guinness faced a variety of challenges in Africa, including increased competition and cheaper prices, along with an ageing population thanks to historical focus on an older, more loyal customer base. So, because of this, the aim of the campaign was to reinvent the brand to appeal and capture the younger market. The campaign strategy adapted the brand's global line, Made of More, and changed it to Made of Black. In order to successfully capture the new market, they had to change the role that the brand played. Although the campaign was initially aimed at creating awareness for the younger market, through this they ended up identifying that black is not the colour, but in fact it is an attitude. Now in Africa, Guinness is no longer a moral voice that speaks to Africa, but is instead a voice of their audience.
So who created Made of Black? The campaign was produced by agency AMV BBDO London, alongside AMV BBDO Africa. For Guinness, this agency have produced adverts for the likes of Lidl, Aldi and Waitrose here in the UK. Production company Roge Films and post-production company The Mill were also a part of the process, as well as a bunch of other creatives, some of which include Mike Sutherland and Sam Brown, who is the director of several Jay-Z videos. A soundtrack by Kanye West is also a key feature within the campaign.
Aside from being a part of WARC 100's World's Best Marketing Campaigns of 2016, additional reasons why we chose this campaign is because the creativity effectively captures the appropriate market. Also, the use of colour, themes, music and dancing were particularly striking. The advertisement was thought-provoking and they used suspense in the form of emotion.
So now I'm going to talk about the consumer profile. These are people of young age, Africans, predominantly Black Africans, people who make bold choices, who are passionate and who thrive for success. Varies from an audience of men and women, people who are enthusiastic with fashion and music. This specific customer profile also targets those with an inner self-confidence, challengers, and those who always use their full potential when given a task. They're bold, confident, inspirers, urban, and have a vision. Also targets those who aren't afraid to express themselves. A young audience, mainly those who are postgraduated from the Generation Y. These are people who are born in the 1990s and 1980s. They have many interests and their talents are easily noticeable.
Now for the competitor media analysis. Castle Milk Stout was once seen as an old man's beer. The new black TV advert was launched to reposition the brand to aim at 25 to 35-year-olds. The executive director of TVC, the ads production company, stated that it's for the urban man who enjoys the good things in life, has a sense of style and saves his time with friends in a stylish environment, which is well represented throughout this advert, as it breaks boundaries within filming in a way that illustrates the moments in time, as well as featuring target consumers, enabling them to make the beverage desirable. At the end here we see the Castle Milk Stout being poured, bringing out the colour and texture visually. This is very important as it creates a strong taste appeal for the drink. Moving on to Star Beer. Star Beer's Shine On campaign was launched as part of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Using print adverts, the brand focused on its Nigerian roots as the team made it to the competition, as well as the brand's slogan Shine On. The ads consisted of football fans holding scarves with the words Shine On Nigeria, and in some cases having the slogan printed on their bodies. The campaign itself highlights the importance that the beer has on Nigeria, as it dates back to the late 1940s and is produced in the country. The campaign also had a hashtag running alongside the ads, enabling easy sharing and discussion online between fans and those captured by the adverts. As of 2016, Star has announced a partnership with the Nigeria Professional Football League, as well as becoming the official beer partner of football teams such as Arsenal, Real Madrid, PSG and Manchester City. This alone shows how the brand has made a great impact in the sporting world as well as sponsorships, and are about to go globally as well as gain recognition. The campaign was launched as part of a 4-hour takeover on MTV Base Africa.
Running a 2-minute TV advertisement, the campaign also had a high social media presence on Twitter and trended globally.
Other mediums involved include hand-painted print advertisements featuring guest appearances from musicians QZODG and Finer. A radio advert which claims that the audience heard a rap which spoke directly from the streets of Lagos and Accra, engaging them on a more personal level.
Let's take a closer look at the communications model that has been implemented with this campaign. To begin with, I will start off with a quick explanation of what communication is. In order to effectively communicate with Guinness's audience, they've had to consider a process of conveying information to their audience. Guinness has undertaken the communications process model. They've taken specific steps in order to achieve a successful campaign. Let's take a closer look. A sender is the party that sends the message. In this case, Guinness is the sender. Guinness will also need their message, which is the information that is to be conveyed. Their message is to make use of existing platforms to rebrand to a younger audience. This message is to be encoded. Encoding is transforming the campaign's thoughts of the information to be conveyed into a form that can be sent, such as words and visual images. Following the encoding of the message, a transmission device must be utilized. Specific channels of communications are chosen in order to transit and send the message. The Guinness Black advert has been demonstrated on the MTV-based African TV channel, on radio and print, which has been reached out to hundreds. Guinness Black has also taken into consideration their audience. This party is called the receiver. The receiver must be able to decode the message, which means mentally processing the message into understanding. The message is now reached to the receiver's senses. At last, the sender receives feedback. Feedback reflects on how the receiver responds to the sender. According to Walk, the campaign has made a great influence on their media choices. Social media has been a highlight of their astonishing feedback. Twitter users have used the hashtag #MadeOfBlack in their tweets, making it a worldwide trending topic. Finally, I will mention noise. This is anything that distorts or disrupts the message. Noise can occur at any stage of the communication process. The most common form of noise affecting marketing communications is clutter. Examples of noise that have affected the advertising message has been when viewers have decided to leave the viewing area to take breaks when the ad is being shown, competitors launching a similar campaign, and electrical faults that could happen at any time.
Aside from the communication process model, we're going to be looking at the eclectic models of advertising, particularly the involvement framework and the salience framework.
So starting with involvement, the ad is successful at engaging the audience emotionally, therefore inflicting a sense of pride and confidence into their viewers like no brand has done before. After viewing the advertisement, the brand means more to you as a customer, as through the advertisement, the brand is personified. Guinness is no longer simply just an alcoholic beverage. It is now represented by black, an attitude, a mindset. It is through this campaign, Guinness Africa reveals its values, which are now shared with their target market.
This leads me on to discuss the salience framework. The message stands out through the use of giant LED screens, which state some of the phrases, such as black is not a colour, black creates, black is a mindset, black says why not, and black believes. Empowering black culture as a whole while emphasising how Guinness is different to their competitors. The ad gets the brand talked about through its choice of music by Kanye West. At first glance, it can be perceived as a potential music video as the advert was aired on MTV Base. However, upon watching, the audience soon realised this is not the case. The ad makes viewers feel pumped and energised. As mentioned previously, the campaign was also trending on Twitter, proving how the campaign was certainly talked about. The ad works by being different through the expression of dance, art, and music. The vast camera angles and location used throughout keep the viewers engaged and on edge, constantly seeing something new and vibrant on the screen. This also applies to the print ads, which were hand-painted, featuring the Guinness harp inspired by African Ankara on a patterned background. This shows how the brand has the capability to play.
If I knew what I knew in the past, I would have been blacked out on your...
So now that you've made it through our presentation, it's time to offer some suggestions and recommendations to Guinness. So, Pablo, why don't we start with you?
Sure, personally, I thought the ad was too long. The time should have been condensed. This way, the message would have been instantly captured. I thought it was a bit too descriptive, the ad.
Yeah, I could agree with that actually. Also, the television advertisement only features the Guinness bottle with the logo at the very end, the last clip of the television advertisement, and it's within the first 3 seconds that Guinness is actually mentioned. So the rest of the 1 minute 50 seconds, you'll have no idea. If you just caught it in the middle, you'd have no idea that it's Guinness that's produced the advertisement. So that would be a tip that I would give them.
I also think with like such a big brand such as Guinness, they have the potential to go global, as Diageo operate in currently over 180 countries. Especially here in the UK, I know we sell the foreign extra stout, but it's seen in the international aisle. Maybe with relaunching and rebranding, it could be welcomed into our regular alcohol beverage section on all of our supermarkets, rather than having its own section in an international aisle.
That's true. Also, as we saw in the advertisement, there's quite a few flashing lights, loads of different colours and patterns, and we realised that there's no warning to let people with such as photosensitive epilepsy know that the advert is going to be the way it is, so that would just be a caution on their behalf. You remember how your competitor...
Oh yes. In terms of the advertising campaign currently in Africa, it could be seen as copying other competitors, because within the same year, Castle Milk Stout also launched an advert called Black, and with these two things running at the same time, some consumers may feel confused or may feel like this is a running theme for a stout company.
That's true.
For that time of year in 2014, when the advert and campaign was launched, they could have possibly thought that maybe these two brands are coming together as one.
Yeah.
So maybe make it a bit more clearer or change the way things are done, because the adverts are very similar. Like, they're capturing moments of young black people like socialising and doing these creative things, but it's not clear enough at times.
Especially with the whole not saying Guinness throughout the whole advertisement.
Until the last
Till the
1
end.
minute. Until the last 30 seconds.
That it was the stout, the milk, what did you call it?
Castle
Milk Stout. Anyone could think that it was that advert, and it actually isn't. So those are just our 5 top tips that we would give to Guinness. Top!
Thank you.